So today we will learn new things, new chapters. So this chapter is about data handling. So just let us get an idea, a brief idea, what is data handling. So normally, like for example, in school, okay, you have a class of students, okay, some of you get like 90 marks, okay, 80 marks, 70 marks, okay. So if let's say a class of students, we have like about 30 students, okay. So now, how do we analyze this piece of data? Okay, so whether this class is performing good or bad for a certain subject. So in this chapter, we were going to learn how to handle all this data from the collections of data. Then we transfer the data that we have collected into the form that we want to present. So for example, okay, we can present in a bar chart form, line graph form, okay, or pie chart. It depends on the data we have collected, and then okay, we will see which one, okay, and then also which type of data is suitable for what type of presentations method. Okay, so now let us look at the data collections method that we have. Okay, so before we can tabulate or transform the data that we have into other forms, okay, so we have our raw data. So how do we collect our raw data? So the raw data, okay, in mathematical context, it will be more on the values, okay. It could be some words as well, okay, but not much, okay. It's more on the value side. So there's four methods that we can collect our data. So the first method that we can use is observations. So observations, how do we do observations? Observations is what you see, okay, what you see. Okay, so for examples, okay, you observe a plant, okay, let's say you have a plant, okay, let's say sunflower, okay, you observe the sunflower, like what time, okay, it turns to the sun, okay, all right, okay, and then I give you another example, like observations of your shadow. Okay, observations of your shadow. So in the morning, is it long, okay, or short? So in the noontime, what happened to your shadow? And then in the afternoon, what happened to your shadow? So observations is what you see, what you can see. Observe, you observe. Okay, so now number two, we have methods. Okay, so what is number two, we have survey. Okay, so what is survey? So survey, okay, is like you do some questioning, okay, you survey, and then you also do a little bit of observations. But if let's say compared to observations, it's not much. So survey is all it's more on like, okay, you give questioning, okay, and then you ask people to answer the questioning. So like sometimes when you go to the supermarket, they give you one question, say a piece of question, say that is actually a survey. Okay, so like not only on the supermarket, so now we have a lot of online survey as well. Okay, so asking questions and then short questions, short answer. So interview, next method, interview, okay, is the method that we use quite similar to survey, but the difference here is the interview you ask, okay, you use ask, okay, survey is written form, okay, interview is a verbal form, okay, so like I ask you, okay, normally what you eat, okay, that kind of questions is interview, all right. Okay, and then how long does it take for you to go to school? Okay, I ask you, that is an interview. Okay, so then we have experiment. So experiment, okay, we carry out a lot of experiment, especially in our science, right? Okay, so like for examples, you carry out the experiments to measure the time for the pendulum to swing in the time for the pendulum to swing for 50 round, for example. Okay, that is experiment. So in experiment, okay, we will have instrument to measure. For examples, like you measure the weight of, let's say you want to see the growth rate of an insect, for example. So throughout a month. So every day you use a balance to weight, that is experiment. So experiment, okay, experiment you will need a tools or device to measure your data. So normally this one you have units, okay, this will be depends on the kind of observations and also survey and interview, all right? But experiment you will have a unit most of the time, all right? Okay, next let us try some practice, okay, exercise practice, okay? So now, state which method of data is called collections is suitable for each of the following situations. So the first one, total calories in a meal of nasi lemak. Okay, so can we use observations? Can you, if let's say I give you a plate of nasi lemak, can you by looking it, you can tell me, oh, how many calories? Cannot, right? So, and then if let's say, okay, the survey and interview, can you like you can ask the one who said, hey, how many calories is it possible? So the calories in a meal of a nasi lemak, okay, what do we have? Okay, we can use experiment. This one we must use experiment. Okay, experiment method to get the calorie value. So how do we get the calorie value for a meal of nasi lemak? We have a special devices we call bomb calorimeter, and this bomb calorimeter will burn the nasi lemak and then we'll get a value of our calories. Okay, so now next, okay, the total cast in the compound of a school. So the total cast in the compound of a school, okay, can you use experiment? Can you use interview, survey of observations? Okay, so this one, okay, this one we will use observations. Why? Okay, now why we use observations? Okay, because it's the one that you see, you see what happens in a compound of school. So it's not survey, it's not like, okay, I ask the compound of school, then the compound will give you answer, no. And also the interview also, you won't get answer from that. But you need to observe, okay, you need to see. Okay, so that one is observations. Alright, so next we have the level of students' satisfactions of school canteens food. Okay, so this one, obviously, we have to carry out survey and interview because by observations or experiment, we cannot get the data that we want. Okay, so this is survey and interview. So you will see that class, okay, you will see that normally like satisfactions, like opinion-wise, okay, opinion-wise, those kind of data, normally we need a survey or interview, okay, to get the data that we want, okay? And then the last one, comparisons canteen food price and price of food outside. And this one, we need to do survey also, okay, like you go to one place or you mark down the place. Okay, so class, just now I do mention about survey is having a question set. So apart from this survey, okay, what we can do for survey is that you go to one places and okay, you look at the things or the data that you want to collect. Okay, this is also a survey. Okay, then this one not only survey, we have observations. So I recap here. There's 4 types of methods to collect data. So first, observations. So number 2, survey. Number 3, interview. And number 4, experiment. Okay, and then it much depends on what kind of data you will wish to collect, and then it will lead you to the correct data collection.